Okay, so now we want to install this so that we see how the list visualization works. So I'm going to copy this, then I'll go to my VS Code. So let me switch my screen to the VS Code terminal. VS Code. So we are on our VS Code now. I'm going to open up the terminal. So let me drag this up. So I'm going to press a plus here to open up a new terminal window. Then for me in Linux, I can paste two commands at the same time. So I will just hit enter. So to install these two packages is for me at the same time. npm install React window, npm install React visualize auto resizer. So while it is installing, let's go back to the documentation. So I can click on this React visualize auto resizer. So I want to copy this line of code. So I want to show you how to use a documentation so that you don't always you can always learn new things and use the new documentation to actually learn how to fix your code. So that will also help you to strengthen your skills on how to read code and understand that. So Fatima, your hand is up, please.
Hello, sir.
Yes, I can hear you.
Sorry, this one you're installing is for what?
We want to use it for the first optimization technique, list visualization.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so thank you for your question. So I want to share my screen now to my browser. So let me share that. To my browser. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just paste that command npm install visualization that I just do Ctrl V there. I think that didn't copy. Okay, so I need to click on this enter here. So it's going to search for that package now. Sorry, system lags. I don't know if that is network or is system, but I think it's network. So I'm going to click on this first one. So the first link there, React visualize auto resizer. So let's wait for it to load. So by the time you open this npm package, this is the documentation. So you see the examples. So you see the examples that we use. So this is how we import it. Then we see the examples, and let's wait for it. So you see that, so this will take some time for us to use, so I'll just copy the working code from my PowerPoint so that we'll get going. But if you take your time, you'll see us actually use this code from here, then this other code, see us actually using that. So let me show you from my PowerPoint. So what we are going to do now is, so let me share my screen again. So what we'll be doing now is this. I'll just copy the code from my terminal, that is from my slide. I'll just copy the code, do Ctrl+C, then I'll create a new component and I'll call that so let's call that can create a new folder called list. So a new component called list. So let me do that. List, just to keep things organized. Then inside this my list, I'm going to create a new file called virtualized list.jsx. Then I'm going to hit enter. Then I can close this my terminal since I have those two packages installed. Then the next thing I want to do is to paste that. So I'm going to remove this one. This one is installation part. Then again I'm going to now copy the next part. So let me show you step by step. But if you take time to study that documentation, you see all these codes. So let's not waste time studying that. So let me swap my screen again. Even though it's just a copy, but I want you guys to just follow me step by step. Okay, so we are back to that screen now. So what I will do now is to change my slide. Go to the next one. I'm going to copy from here to here. So I'll do Ctrl+C. Then I'll go back now to my other screen, which is here. Okay, so I'll just paste this below. Okay, so we have this now. So this is a complete component. Then of course I will just do what I need to do now is to change this to actually run with this name, unless I have to remember that the component is actually optimization. So let me change this to Ctrl+Shift+L, so to copy all everything as optimization. Then that will be virtualized list. So virtualized list. So if you notice, if I scroll down, that has also reflected there. So I will save. So what is actually going on in this form? So for instance, you have this is just a this is just some list of things that you need to show, and this is going to show from I think from 1 to 100. No, from 1 to 1000. Then the height should be 150, then the item size should be 35, the width should be this. So what it will do now is it's going to be showing how many is this going to be showing? Let's see. I think it's going to be showing only 35 out of 100. Then as we scroll down, it's going to now show the rest. So it's not going to show the entire list, like the entire 1000 list. It's just going to show only the amount that is visible to this height. So let's now call this component on. So look for a page to do that. So let me look at our navbar and see the one that we'll call our component. So let's call our component on so where did we install this? I think this is demo 2, and the demo 2 I think is this one. So let's call that on our car component. So I'll go to still from my VS Code, I'll go to my car component and let's use that. I'm not sure this is the place I did that. Okay, it's here. So look at the car component. Okay, I was looking at it with a folder. I forgot I didn't add a folder, so this is an error. I need to remove this folder. Then now I'll just call the virtualize so let me start adding that as from my angle bracket. So virtualized list. So I'll wait for my IntelliSense to show so that I'll automatically import that. But of course, if it fails to load, you have to manually import that at the top. So let's remove the T and add it again. So this seems to be wasting time. Let me complete it first of all. So we need to manually import that. So let's go to the top. So that's why it's good for you to know both. So what I'll do here is I'll say import virtualized list from, then your quote dot and /. So it's going to show me my lists, then slash virtualized list. So we have imported that. So if I save now, I'm going to see my visualized items. So let's do that. So let me go to my browser. So let's go to our browser and confirm that. I think we have an error there. The error is showing us is this showing that the index.css is not defined, so I have to go behind the scene and remove that. So let's see if that fixes it. So I'll just comment that out. So let's see if that has been fixed. So it's trying to reload the car. So if there's another error, it will also point it out. But in case it shows a blank page like this and it stops reloading, you know, you have to check your console. So even though I've commented that out, it's still finding out that. So I need to remove it out completely. So I just need to clear that, so it will not be as a comment either. So I'll save that. Oh, I'm doing it in the wrong place. So let me move my screen so you see what I'm doing. So we are back in our VS Code now. Originally we had this our style here, but the error is showing me that it's from my visualize component, and I was actually facing this one. So I need to go back to my visualize component here, then actually comment this style out, because that is the one that the React is finding out. So let me go back to the browser. So let me see if the error is out. Okay, the error is out, so let me switch my screen. So you see how we fix our error. You need to know how to understand the error message. So now you see what I have here. I have this list, but you notice there is a scroll bar here. So if I scroll down, only then is it going to load the remaining ones, you see. So what I intend to do now is we are going to use Tailwind to start this a little, so that you are going to see actually the space. Let's just add a margin top and bottom so that we can see this. So I'll switch my screen again, then of course the code for this I'm going to push it to Git and send to you guys. So now we're back at our screen, so let's do this. So I'm going to add a class name here, class name, then I'm going to add a margin top, that is the margin y in the y-axis. I want it to be 10. Then let's have a border of 2. I think that will do. Then we can also come here in this our list, this here. Now earlier I was just using exactly what is on the documentation by the time I played around with this code. So now I want to use Tailwind. I want to use the Tailwind even and odd, which makes it easier. So for the even, the BG will be will be gray. Then for the odd, it will be no space, don't add space, to be transparent. Forgot my teeth. Transparent. So we have done that. So what it will do for us now, so if I do my odd z, so why is it refusing to break? Okay, so if I do my odd z, that means for each of these even row and column is going to apply a background color of this. So let's save this. So if we save this now, we'll go back to our screen. So let's go back to our screen. So if I go back, notice I have this here. I don't think we are seeing the even and odd actually applied to this. So let's see why that did not occur. Maybe we made a mistake. So we are back to our VS Code screen. So let's see, even BG. So here I didn't add BG. So the even should be, the BG should be transparent, and the BG should be gray. I don't think the gray is, my IntelliSense is picking that. Let me back. Okay, so I forgot that. So let me add a light gray, 200. So now it's going to show. Okay, then I think this border I added here was just for this list. So let me actually see what the output is saying. Okay, I think there is no padding the way I want. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to copy this to Ctrl C. I'm going to use my list item here. I'm going to paste that. Then what will I do next? Then okay, let's see how this goes. Let's see how it goes. So the border now that we have is still grayed out. You don't want this border. Okay, the border should be there. Okay, so let's see how it looks like. An error occurred. I need to share my screen again. Okay, so if we go back to our browser now, you will notice what we have here. So you see how it is now, the even and odd. So this is how it is, but you notice here that there is a scroll bar here, so we can fix that by adding our width to be full. So I'm seeing the hand up. Mr. Sylvester, please.
Sorry, there's a mistake.
Okay. Please mute. Okay, so let's go back to our screen. So I'm going to add here that the width should be full, that is 100%, and here let's see if the width should be full. It should be 100% too. Okay, so I think this is then this is okay. So this is how the list visualization goes. So if I go back to my browser now, you notice I have this an error code, so I have to share that again. Go back to my browser screen. Okay, so we are seeing this. So now what is actually happening here is this overflow doesn't want to go out, so we need to remove this. So what actually happened now is, if I scroll down to the last, you notice it is 1000 because it's starting from 0. I see now. So but it's not showing all of them at the same time. Now imagine these are some images that you need to show, or a table that contains some data. Now you don't want it to actually load the entire page when the user does not want to view all of them. So as user requests each page by scrolling, it will dynamically load each of them. You see how it's doing that? So you see that is the even and odd. So this leads to an optimized website because it doesn't try to load everything on that page because it's on that page. It only knows it when the user is on focus, like if the user actually is viewing that page, that is going to load the content. So this is for our list visualization. Then as for this overflow here, I don't know what's causing that. Now this is not good because there's nothing to show behind here. So let's see why that is showing my width here. Let's see. So I think this width I need to change it to resize that width. So let me change this to 100%. Let's see what that will look like on the browser. So on the browser, that has cleared everything in the list, so that is not acceptable. I'll change that to view width. Okay, I change it to view width and it's showing. So let me take it to 98 view width. View width. And that has worked. So you see 98 view width has removed the overflow. So if I go back to my screen, you see what I just did now. So this is what I mean by playing around with a code, and as you play around, you study the package and you know what you can use it to do. And so if I go back to my code, notice, so if I do Ctrl Z back, do Ctrl Z, do Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z. Now you notice it was showing me this width. Now is this width that is here that was making it to overflow, because it is not actually responsive. So what I did was to move that out, put it in quote, and change that to, I tried 100% before, it didn't work, so I tried 98 view width. So and that worked. Okay, so we now know how to do this. So a question that you might ask now is this: what does this list item here represent? This item that is here, what does it represent? So what this line of code means is that whatever you want to show as your list visualization, you can actually render that here. You can actually do what? You can actually render that here. So let's do that. So let's say for example, this our, let's say I have some images. So let's just create a random data. So what I will just do now is to create a random data. So what I will do now is this, I'll create a new file called list I'll create a component, let's call it render.jss. Now in this render.js, I want to show something. So I want to show a list of images, or it can be anything, but it should just be a list. So the first thing I want to do first is to make this a component. So ROAFCE, it's wasting time. Okay, so we have this. So what I want to do now is I want to have an array here. So let's have an array. So let array be equal to, I have 1 2, just like that, so many numbers, 0 11 44, just like that. So I can have so many numbers. So let's say I want to render this component now. I want to render this list here. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to put my array here, dot map. So inside this array I want to render each of the array, then I want to return as, let's say, a p tag, let's say as a p tag I want to return each. So what I'm going to do now is I'll save this. So on my browser now, on this my visualize list, what I will need to do here is to remove this row.index. So let me remove that. So I'll just comment that out. Then what I will do now is to now call my render here. So render as a component. So let's wait for it to, if it will automatically show us the emit suggestion. Let me see if it's still recording. Okay, I don't think that is coming up, so let me do that again. Okay, so I have to manually import that. So what I'll do, I'll come here and I'll put import render from dot and forward slash So let's see what will show, and that is the render, because they are in the same folder structure. Okay, so if we save this now, instead of us to see this render of row from 0 to 999, it will now be showing these values that we have in our render here. So if I do that and save, so let's see what we have on the output. So let me check the browser to see if it's working the way we want. Yeah, I'm not actually seeing the number. So the number that I want to see, I'm not actually seeing that. So let's check here from the browser. We are returning each, and this is meant to return each of these. So let me use this as a use state. Let's see. So the structure is array. I don't think that is the issue, but set array then equal to use state so I'll import that, then I'll just add a parenthesis here, remove the closing parenthesis and add that at the end here. So this is now a use state value, then it's showing this. Oh, now I know why it's not returning, and I've already done that. So this needs to be a parenthesis, not a bracket. So that was a typo error because I'm using the ES6 format. Okay, so this will work now, and it would have worked even without converting this to a use state, but we've already done that, so let's leave it like that. So let me check now. I think we are seeing that only that is repeating, but from that you see the principle. So from that you see the principle. So let's see how it's showing first of all. So remember that you're trying to study how you use a solution that you see online. So you test it, you play with it. Now at this point you're not actually using it to do your project, you're actually trying to see how you can use it to do your project. But see here it is showing. So now let's see how you can fix this by studying more on that documentation or on the code that we saw online. So if we go back to our code, go back to my VS Code. So if we go back to the VS Code, we are seeing that on the visualize list here we have, let's see what is responsible for rendering that list. We have list here, doesn't have the data. Okay, let me remove this style and see if that is the case. So let me check that. Okay, so the style was actually the issue. So the style that was there was actually the issue. So let me show you. Because from looking at how the code is meant to run, it's meant to show us the expected result. So only that we can't find the browser screen now. Okay, I've seen that. So you notice from here now, I'm just seeing this. I'm just seeing 1 to just like the array, but only that it is repeating. I see it is repeating. So what if you don't want it to be repeating like this? What if you don't want it to be repeating like this? What do you do from here? So what you just need to do, if you go back to the documentation, so you can play around with this and you can actually use it to actually do what you want. So if you go back to the code, you notice that what is actually responsible for the number of items it will show is this one here. So I can now update this to show my what array dot length here, then the item count now. So let's say I want it the item size, let's say I want it to just be 1. So let's just make it 2. So it will be showing 2 per the view of this height here. So let's see if that works. So let me check that, and we have an error. So the array.length is not working. So let me see. Array dot, I hope I spelled the length well. So length so actually we don't have access to the length here. So I was actually using a value that did not exist. So in order for us to do that, you can pass that as a prop from here. So we can pass that as a prop, then use that. But let's just, so you can have an external data that you want to use. So let me actually do that. So let me add that here. So now see what I'll do now. I'm going to add list data. So I'm doing all of this so that when you need to use this for a real life project, you don't have to be repeating this. You make this as a customizable component that you can easily work with. So although there are more stuff for us to learn, but it's good the one that we learn it well, so that with that same understanding, by the time I make the next video, you'll be able to pick from it. So let's make this JSX. So remember, this is not a component, it's just an external data. So what I'm going to do now is this. I'm going to, in my render page, I'm going to cut this. I'm going to cut this data out from here. So let's do Ctrl X. Then it's going to receive a prop called data. Then that data will come here. Good. So we save that. Then from this our list data, all I need to do now is to do export let's use num list should be equal to this array of objects. So let's just paste this here. So we can actually import this now as num list. So I save this. So what I'm going to do here now is from my list visualization here, I'm going to actually accept this as a prop. So I'm going to accept this as a prop. Then that's going to be my data. Then I can move this now inside the function because it is global, so I need to move that inside. So I'm going to move that inside the function. So I've moved that inside the function. So what I can now do, remember from my render here, I'm passing this as a prop of what? I'm expecting a prop of data. So now that I've arranged it in this way, I'm now going to pass that as a prop here. So data, so the prop that I will receive here, I'm now going to pass it as a prop of data back to this guy too. So you see how it links. So now finally where I'll pass the data now will be my car. So you see this thing that we are doing now is what we call prop drilling. So you see that the actual component that needs the data is render, but we are using visualize list as a middleman in order to get this, else we can't do that unless we use an atom. So you see how it links now. So what I'm now going to do is in this my car component, I come down, then I'll now pass this as a data should be equal to my num list. So my num list will come as an imported component. So you remember I exported it from here, so it should come quick. So it will come now. So I've automatically imported that. So let's review our code. So it's right here. I'm passing the data that I want to show as visualize list here. So if I go to the visualize list here, I'm accepting that as a prop here. Then I'm sending it back to the render list where it is meant to be rendered. So you see the link, and that is what we call the code splitting. So now what I can do now is in my visualize list I can actually change this instead of this array. Now remember it is my data, so I'll just change that to data.length. So data dot length gth, I guess. So if I save that, go to my screen, there should not be an error. So you see there's no error. So let me show you the screen. So there is no error, and you can see now, so it is not repeating that much again. So you see just one to that length. So if you play around with it, if you want it to only be showing 1, 2 like this, so just know that in here whatever you are rendering here, like in this our render component now, we are showing all of this. So whatever is in this array, so if there are 10 things, we are rendering each of them as a group, 10 per group. So that's why you're seeing it like this, 1, 2 till the last one. Then we now enter the gray part. Then after we finish that, so it just took out. you see, because we say that it should be 2. That is why it's actually showing us that. So I think, so if this is an image, we can actually do that. Okay, so any question based on this? So you see that being a solid-ware developer means you spend time with your code. You see how I'm taking time to explain and fix the code. So that's how I expect you to also take your time. Before you know, you have to just click and you'll be a guru. So any question?
Hello, sir.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. It's well. Although network has been so wonderful, I even let her join around after this. So we are taking attendance. I don't even understand today class at all.
Okay, I believe. Okay, but I believe.
I pray that. Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Pray that Peter will do justice.
Yes.
But there is another question I want to ask. Not on this one because I don't understand anything on today's class.
Okay.
This term with I imported image and I wanted to style it. I don't understand English mostly.
Well,
does it mean that there is another way to import image with term with?
No.
Unlike the other one that we are doing.
If you are using Tailwind, you can't use Tailwind to add image like your background image. You add it using the image tag, but you can use Tailwind to style and position the image the way you want.
That means you have to add CSS and Tailwind to it.
Yes, like if I add an image now, so I think I can show you that. So let's say in this our car component, I think we are still on the browser, so let me move to the screen. Here's the code. I think that has disappeared. So let me show you now. If you want to, that didn't work, so I have to try that again. Now if you want to add an image, you can combine your knowledge of external CSS and Tailwind, or you can use so if the image I want to use my external CSS, I can add it as a background image, then I can use my normal CSS or my SAS to like style it. But if I want to add it as using the image tag, then I can easily do that. So what I'll do now is in my car component, I'm going to add an image. So the image I want to import it, let's assume is this Vite stuff I want to add, so which lives in the public folder. So let's see if it's already here. It's not there, so I need to import it first. So I just put import Vite logo from then I'll now add. Remember, if your image lives on your public folder, just use slash like this, then the components, the file name, which is Vite, then the extension .svg. It's only when it lives in your asset that you now do dot and locate this asset, then enter into it and do the rest part of this. So I've done that. this lives in my vite. So what I will now do now, let's say I want to add an image, so let me add that before my state. So I'm going to add that here. So let me just maybe add this as a div first, so in case I want to flex it I can do that. So that's waste time. So tab. So what I will do now, enter inside this and add it as an image. So img. So inside this sroc, I'll enter my JavaScript environment. Then I'll now put my vite logo. Then here as my auth, I'll now put vite. Okay, so if I save this now, let's go to the browser. So by 7:30 we'll end the class. Then the rest part of the class I'll put it on I'll do the pre-recorded part. So from my okay, I have an error. I didn't spell my logo correctly, so let's add the 0. So vite logo, so that should work. So let me scroll to the top. Vite logo, that is correct. Okay, so it was wasting time to highlight. So if I save that now, I think the error will be gone from the screen. So now for my screen now, you are seeing this vite logo here. So you notice is after the is before the state. So let's say I want to increase the width of this image, or I want to position it at the center. So I can do that using my tailwind if I want. So let's say I want to increase the width of the image. I can use class name. Then of course, if I want the width of this image to be, let's say 20, let's say 100.
Hello sir, please, are you on VS Code or browser?
Okay, I'm on VS Code. Sorry, I forgot to change my screen. Okay, so now I'm on VS Code now. So if I add the width as 100 pixel, then the height as 100 pixel. So if I save that, notice that the image of the, so let's see, notice it has increased. So let me show you that. Again, the browser image has, so let me cancel this, make this on focus, then attempt to share again. Okay, now so you notice by increasing the width and height of the image, you see that the image size has what? Increased. So I can actually use my vite, then because the width now is less than 100%, if I want it to be at the center, I'll just do my margin auto. So let me go back to this, to the VS Code, and add that. So if I don't want to use my margin auto, I can just flip this component and say align item should be center, justify justify content should be center, so it will flex this image. But the shortcut is to do your margin X here, then I'll do auto. So now that I've done this, it will be aligned at the center. And if I should increase this to 500, so you notice that we have a bigger white image now. So if I save this, go to my browser, so you notice we have a bigger white image. Are you seeing it now? So that is it. Now if you don't want to use so there's another one called the object fit and object, so you can use that one, but whatever one you want to use will work for you. So there's another one called the object size, so you can also do that one too. So I believe this has answered your question.
Yes sir, this one you have answered this one. I don't know if there is time again. Like, sorry, this is it that is only inline that it's accepting? Like CSM have a scanner that you can start H2 and we use it anytime I have H2. But this one I don't know how the term is now better that it's only inline.
Yes, you can actually do that, but you can actually do that. There is how you can also customize a component. That one, if I remember correctly, you come to if I go back to my VS Code. So I think now that we are in our browser, so any question that you have like that, you just search online. So let's do that together. So how to style what is that question? How to style or H1 in Tailwind CSS. So even though there is not the exact question, you see something that looks like that. So how do I style H1 text becomes smaller when I use Tailwind? So let's look at this one. I think it's that to do with, no, let's not use that flow bit, let's use this one. I think it has already started opening that. I don't like this flow bit Tailwind. It refused to work in my React. I took time to debug it, but it didn't work. So I've not gotten time to debug it again. So let's see. I think it has to do with something that has to do with at apply, but I can't remember it correctly. But let me see. If I see it, I'll remember. Looks like something like this. No. See, yes, is what we call base styling. So let's look at this base styling. See the base styles for default. So let's look at this. Remember, is base styling pre-flight is in Tailwind docs. It's not this one. If I see it, is this one? Yes. So I've seen it. So extending pre-flight. So if you like to add your own base styles on top of pre-flight, simply add them to your CSS using at layer base, then the directive. So now this directive now means that just like you have your text this, text that, so I can actually do that. So for this at base now, so let's see how we can extend this. Apply and to the class, so there is more to that. I think the directive here, let's see the directive. Okay, so let's just apply this. So what I'll do is I'll copy this and let's test. At base. So what I'll do, I'll just copy this, go to my Tailwind documentation, then I've watched a video on this before, so I'll go to my index.css where I added I think index.css and app.css. So they say after base, so I guess you're not seeing my screen, so let me move. To my index, my page. So from the code I will copy it now. So if I move to my index.css, after this base I have to paste this because I need to extend something. So let's say I want to extend just the h1 and not the h2. So for this at apply, I think you can have a valid CSS here. I think let me see if I can add text should be red. Okay, so let's try this out now. So that means if I use a h2, it will have all my h2 will by default will have a color of what? Of red. So let's see if that works. So let me, as all my h1, so let me go to my car as usual, then let me add a h1. h1 so I'll do heading 1. So if I save this, let me check if that has worked then before we change screen. Let's go to my car component. I don't think it's this, I think it's this one. So the car now, so you see that has worked. So let me share my screen now. So you see that all the h1 now will have this what? Will have this color of what? Of red by default, unless so this is like your default styling. So let's do another one. So let me say I want to add, even though it's not so you can play around with this principle. There are some videos online where you can do that. So if I want to change the color, so let me go back to my screen. So if I want to change the color of this one now to maybe blue, so that will change to blue, I think. Let's use the one that we will not customize, purple. So that one is showing me there. Then what if you don't want to use you don't want to use the H1, maybe you want to use this as a class? You can also apply a valid class here. So I can put something like clamp, and I'll just put at apply. I think I have to put that as dot. I think so. Then I have to use at apply. Then you must use this at apply if you are to use it as part of the terminal. What this at apply does now is, let's say you want to globally start something, so that by the time you use that component, you don't have to actually put that starting airline, just like this one now. So I can put at apply, let's say I just add let's put a custom CSS. So let me just make this the text. Let's just put the BG to be black. So now if I do this now, you notice what will happen now. If I add a class of .clamp, it will just apply whatever table CSS that I've applied to that component. So let's go back to the car. So I can add it in my H1, I can add it anywhere. So it's not like a table CSS, but I can use it globally. So I'll just put class, and I'll just put clamp, something like that, clamp. So if I do that now, to just add a background color of what? Black to this. So if I save, so let me see if that has been applied. Yes, that has been applied. So if I share my screen now, you notice that can't find that screen. So let me cancel this, go to this and try to share. An error occurred, so let me share again. So now you notice now that the H1 has a background color of what? Black. So each time I use that class name of what? Clamp, is as if I want to add a background color. So if there are many CSS, so instead of me to be repeating something, let's say like even flex, so I can also make it that. So instead of me to be using so just like in our SAS, where I can do flex between flex this, flex that, so we can also do that. So let me do that one last time for us to see. So let's say we just go to our VS Code again, so you can actually extend it. So instead of it to be repeating some things, you can just put them as your own custom CSS, but you're still using theming, but you're not making it global. Let me see if this is still recording. Still recording. So I think after this I will stop. Okay, so let's do that lastly before we stop the class. So see, this is why I love theming, because it's very flexible. It does not give you that much restriction. So what I'll do here now is, inside this my index, I'm going to now do another customization. So I'll call it flex row. So dot flex, let's say flex between, then I'll just put this here, then add apply. So I can now add my custom mode, my custom table. So I'll say flex, then items should be center, justify should be between, then the flex direction should be row. So I see now. Then I can just add a default gap of what? Gap of 2. So let me quickly duplicate this and make this to be flex center. Flex center. So I'll change that to what? To center. Then I'll quickly duplicate this and change here to flex column, like column. So the flex direction will be column. So you see how I'm not adding my own custom word. So instead of me to be typing all of this manually, so I'll just have to add this. So if I save this now, so let's have a list in our car. Let's see if we have a list there. So I'll just create a list after this. So I'll just have a div. Oh, my battery is low. Then tab. So I'll just have a span tag. So I just call this box 1. So shift alt arrow down. So this will be 3. So this will be what? 2. Now if I come here and add flex between, so it's just like adding all of those CSS. So if I save now and go to my screen, so let me share my screen so you see that. Screen has disappeared. So let me share that again. Okay. So now you see that it is just flex between. So if I go back and change it to flex should be column, so let me just change it to CO behind the same, COL. Notice that it will not change. So I believe I've answered your question. I've answered the question, Rachidema.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, so you're welcome.
Well. Thank you.
So you can actually, what I want to teach you, or the skill I want you to have is, I want to like train you in such a way that even though you don't know something, but based on the skill I've taught you, how to do research, how to read code, you can actually say, okay, don't worry, I'll do it, or just give me like a week, I'll do it. So thank you for your question, and the remaining part of the class I'm going to the main part of the class, I'm going to make a pre-recorded video and show you that. So let me stop the recording.